Selam, hoş geldiniz. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylee. I am an American who's been living in Turkey for 3 years, and I am so happy you're here. This video is 9 things that I just love about Turkish people. If you're new to my channel, hey there, I'm also new. And I'm here to talk about Turkish culture, life as an American living in Turkiye, and how to thrive as a foreigner as you face all the hurdles and obstacles that are all along the way. The first thing that I love about the Turkish people is how passionate they are. Now, I know I talked about this on the reverse side in my culture shock video, but from this side, it's that Turks are passionate about anything and everything they are talking about. You're never gonna meet someone who's just lukewarm. They are always invested. They are invested in the story. They're invested in their TV shows. They're invested in their favorite characters and favorite books. They're invested in their future. They're invested in conversation topics. They are just so invested and so passionate. And when you find a Turkish person's passion, they can just go to huge levels of talking about why they love what they love. Their passion is nearly unmatched. I have never met so many people who are capable of so much passion and energy for the things they believe in and the things that they're talking about. Number 2, I might get pushback on this because I have heard Turks themselves kind of like argue different points about this, but number 2 is how open-minded Turkish people are. And what I mean is that Turks are ready to talk about anything, especially when I'm having just a one-on-one coffee with a Turkish person. Our conversations can go anywhere, and they're so ready to ask questions, hear your perspective, debate, have the conversation that goes further and deeper into topics. I find that Turkish people, once you get past that like, "Naber, ne yaptın, sen nasılsın?" Ay, past this like surface level conversation, Turks are so ready to dive deep. They are so open-minded in this way. Now, when I said I get pushback on that, that's because there's also a huge wave of very traditional values in the Turkish culture. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this readiness to deep dive into topics and conversations and to hear about the perspective of their own culture from foreigners. They're very open and ready for this. It's really awesome. The third thing that I love about Turkish people is that Turkish people are a seeking people. They are looking for fate. They're looking for destiny. They're looking for the signs. They're peering into the mystery. They're always looking for what's next. What is bigger? What is deeper? What meaning there is in the meaningless, or what is the meaninglessness of life? They are so seeking. They're seeking all the time to see the spiritual side of things, the emotional side of things. They want to see things from different angles and different ways, and they are wanting to have a connection to bigger things. They want to be connected to faith. They want to be connected to spirituality. They want to be connected to the bigger picture and the deeper meaning. So I find that they are naturally very curious and seeking. Maybe this comes from a part of the culture that lacks contentment, because I find in my own culture, people aren't seeking a lot. They're so content in what they have. They're so comfortable in their materialism. They're so stuck where they are that it doesn't even like come into their mind sometimes to be seeking deeper. Whereas Turkish people are generally seeking the deeper meaning. I hear Turkish people say all the time, "We're in the matrix." Like, they're always seeking. The fourth thing I love about Turkish people is that they delight in sharing. It's not like, "Oh, I'll just give you half of my cookie because I feel bad." No, they're like, "Take the cookie." They are always ready to share a meal, to share their drink, to share their advice. Turkish people are always so eager to share, and I especially see this in older generations. Of course, if I go to my Turkish grandmother's house, or if I go to someone's home, they're going to like completely outdo my own abilities to share food, share drink, share time. But even the younger generations, I've had coffee with Turks as young as 19, 20 years old. I'm 28. So even these younger kiddos, they're so ready to share their time, share their experiences, share whatever it is they have. It's really, really beautiful. And I wonder if that comes from the communal versus individualistic culture. They are ready to share and eager to share. And like I said, they delight in it. It brings them joy. Ooh, my mic is really sliding my shirt down. By the way, I have sweatpants on. The fifth thing that I love about Turkish people is that they believe in the innocence of children. You see children riding like scooters around the shopping malls and running around and not really being tucked away or hidden. And They don't believe you should be introducing really intense topics to children at really young ages. They don't try to have these deep conversations about social and political issues with children. They just believe children should be children. And I know I've talked in other videos, the culture shock video particularly, about how much like education burden there is on children, but that's very different. They're not trying to introduce children to mature themes too young. Turkish people believe in the innocence of children, and they believe in protecting the innocence of children. I find that very respectable. I think that's needed more so in the West in many ways. And it's something that I really love about this culture and about these people. These people, that sounds so weird. It's something I love about the Turkish people. The sixth thing that I love about Turks, which is like something that kind of aches my heart, but I have a respect for it, is that they try to carry the weight of the world for their children, and then they try to carry the weight of the world for their parents. Adult children, Turks who have grown up, really try to carry every responsibility they can, every burden they possibly can, every weight that they can for their elderly parents and for their grandparents. Over here, this is something so small, but you won't even see a Turkish parent allowing their child to carry their own backpack after school. I have never seen an American parent at large, maybe there's like one or two in the crowd, but I've never seen a whole group of American parents walking home their children and carrying their backpacks. It's like, the idea is that that's their burden. Turkish parents are going to try to lift every single burden off of their kids as possible, and then the reverse. Children try so hard to lift the burdens off of their parents, and I can see the weight that this causes, but I can also see the sacrifice and the love that this comes from. It's something I don't see in my own culture. In my culture, there's this idea of I struggled, so you should have to struggle. I started over, so you should start over. I did it all at this time, so you should do it all at this time. Turkish culture never ever thinks like that. There's not a single parent in Turkish culture that is a healthy parent or even a semi-healthy parent who would allow their child to struggle when they don't have to struggle. I deeply admire this and respect this, and it is beautiful. Especially as someone who comes from the West. Number 7 is that Turkish people are so eager. They're so eager for hope. They're so eager for optimism. They're so eager for health. They're so eager for change. They're so eager for evolution. They're so eager for dreams. They are an eager people. Sometimes Turkish culture and Turkish people get a lot of like criticism because they can be kind of negative and they can kind of complain and things like that. And that's totally true, okay? But on the flip side of that, they're also very eager. They're so eager to connect, so eager to know more. So I think it goes with some of that seeking quality I mentioned earlier. There is an eagerness that Turkish people have that I just don't even know exactly where it comes from, other than that like communal culture and facing hard things together and not having all of your wants met. Like in the West, it's so easy to have your wants met in such a ridiculous way. Even if your needs aren't met, your wants are met in the West. And I've talked about that in a video. Which video did I talk about that in? The video that I talk about 5 ways Turkish culture has changed me. I talked about how because there is a lack of materialism here, a lack of availability to materialism, I have more eagerness for connecting and relationships. Turkish people just have this eagerness. If I go to the supermarket across the street, the women there are eager to talk with me. And this is not just every day all the time. It's particularly once they find out I'm a foreigner. But once you have a connection with somebody and you start that relationship, Turkish people are eager for that relationship to grow. They're eager for the connections. And I think that's great. It's like a step of enthusiasm. It is this reciprocal energy that happens when you're communing with a Turkish person that really pulls you in and invites you in and makes you feel seen and heard. The 8th thing that I love about Turkish people, and it might be something more that I just like really respect, is they're so resilient. Turkish people take on a lot of burden, like I mentioned earlier, and they take on a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and they have a lot of economic stress and a lot of political stress, and yet they have so much fire in them. They have so much readiness in them. They have so much strength in them. They can be knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked again, and they don't fall down. And once they do fall down, they get back up and they pull each other up. It's an incredible quality. And again, I can only see it through a lens of what I know from my own culture. A Turkish person doesn't trip and then whine about there being something to trip over. A Turkish person trips and gets back up and steps over what they tripped over. They are just incredibly resilient. It's a really amazing quality that they have. Are they kind of pushed into it? Yeah, in some ways, especially because of the academic pressure and the economic pressure, but it's one of those things that if you try to see the positive in the negative, because I'm not saying that it's fair to have so much economic pressure and so much academic pressure, but diamonds are created out of pressure. And I see this diamond quality in Turkish people, this resiliency that is just outstanding and a bit humbling sometimes. Number 9, Turkish people are so empathetic and sympathetic too, but so empathetic. Like, they are ready to connect with you and feel your feelings with you, validate your thoughts, and be on your side. Like, when I meet a Turkish person for a coffee and I like offload something I'm going through or a challenge or this or that, whether it's like a little tiny thing or something really big and heavy, it doesn't matter. That person is fully invested in my emotional journey. They are so empathetic. They are so deeply connected to one another when they have this relationship and this care for one another. And it is so amazing because it's so, what can I say? I don't want to put anybody down to build anybody up, so I'm not comparing this to friendships or relationships that I've had, but my Turkish friends are so ready to affirm me and cry with me and validate me and laugh with me. And when I'm telling a story and when I'm engaged in the process of feeling my feelings, they're not just like nodding along and saying the right things. They are full body invested. They are so empathetic. And I think this is part of why they're so emotional in the culture. And I talked in my culture shock video about hot and cold cultures and that Turks are just so much more expressive, and sometimes this kind of like surprises me. But here's the flip side. It has been the most validating, like, woman to woman type of relationship I've had in so long with my friendships, because they're so deeply invested in understanding what you're going through. Not just what you're saying, but actually like emoting with you, actually empathizing with you. It's beautiful. The journey of being a foreigner has been kind of difficult because I never intended to be a foreigner for this long. I am here because I am married to a Turkish person. So what has really made the journey so much better are these incredible Turkish friends that I have who have loved me, have seen me, have connected with me, and have invested their time and energy and their resources into being a good friend to me. So if you're watching this video and you know me in real life, you know I'm talking about you. Thank you so much for the time that you give me. Thank you so much for the love that you have given me, and I just want to give it all back, you know? So, all right. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please drop a comment down below. Let me know if any of this is something that you can relate to as someone who's visited Turkey, or if you're a Turkish person and you're like, yeah, that's totally true. Let us know in the comments. If any type of video requests, please let me know. My name is Kaylee, and I am working diligently to get content out very regularly about how much I love Turkish culture, my experience as an American living in Turkiye, and how to thrive as a foreigner, because it's a challenging season, but we are designed to thrive. So let's do it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time.